Let's go. I'm Christopher Pitt, and welcome to the Pursuit to Own podcast. At Pursuit to Own, we are pursuing ownership at every level of life, whether it's mindset, business, life, or real estate. Our goal is to get you from renting to owning your future. See, I felt the pain of poverty growing up as a sharecropper in zip code 27843. I understand the struggle of living in a one-bedroom shack, owning nothing, not even running water. But I turned that pain into purpose by becoming a premier affordable housing community developer, providing 27,843 ownership opportunities in marginalized communities. Here's the truth. Ownership starts in your mind, regardless of your situation or location. Whether you are escaping the poverty trap, buying a home, or starting a business, the pursuit to own mindset is the key to unlocking your zip code and success. Join me to discuss new innovative ways to own real estate with tokenization, blockchain, crowdfunding, fractional ownership, and so much more. Let's go. Welcome back to the Pursuit to Own TV. Look, guys, we want you winning at every level of life. We want you owning at every level of life. Now, today, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna have to contain myself. Because today, we're gonna talk about some things that have been simmering in the background. You know, I've been talking a lot about the struggles to get us to ownership, but today, we're gonna talk about the solutions. We're gonna bring you something that most people still have not adopted, right? We're gonna bring you a platform that's out there that's just like me. They're in it for you, not just me, but in it for you. So today, guys, buckle up, because we're gonna take you from that tobacco field, right? We're gonna take you from tobacco field to tokenization. Like, this is gonna be a great journey, So today's guest, how did I describe this man? So before I even go that far, right? You remember when I told you guys, when you own this journey, when you own your journey in life, sometimes you got to leave people at exit one, like you have outgrown them. Like you have to leave them at exit one. But on this journey also, people just show up in your life, right? They show up at the right time, at the right space, right? They can get you to the next level in life, right? That is one of these moments I had when I got my next guest, right? So I'm gonna introduce him, Mr. Vernon J. Now, Vernon J, you got to understand something about this man. This man is a visionary, right? So we can talk about all the real estate transactions. I think it's over 100 million plus transactions. We're talking commercial, anything you can think of. We both share the real estate background. But what he did that I didn't do was he saw the future, right? He saw where real estate was going. And what did he do? He take the pursuit mindset and he went and dove in to build a future first platform, right? To help people just like me, to help people just like you. So I'm gonna let the man himself, bring him, what they do. And he's the CEO of how many companies? Equity Platform. He created the sharing economy. The man, it goes on and on. But today, I'd like to welcome in Mr. Vernon J. How you doing today, brother?
I am doing phenomenal, brother. Chris, it's been, man, I can't even start to explain how it's been being in the Pursuit ecosystem and being able to collaborate and think about the ways of the future, right, and the way we see this new sharing equity economy, which we'll probably dive into a little bit later. But you said something that you said 100 million. It's a little bit over 200 million, but I'll let you slide with that one. But we're climbing. We're doing more and more every day, and I think, it's not only about the numbers, but it's about the ethereal effect, right? The intangibles, what we're trying to do so that, what we're trying to pretty much praise our ancestors, and then also think about what the future holds for our grandkids, right? When we're not around. And this is the work that we're doing right here. It's legacy work. That's to right. Be very clear here. This is legacy work that we're doing. And it's not only about the dollar amounts, but it's also about how we're going to influence generations and create ripples over time. So, I just give you a quick, high-level overview of myself. Vernon J, CEO over at Equity Platforms. I've been in the real estate space, commercial real estate, private equity for 19 years now. It sounds crazy, since I was a baby, 18 years old. And it's been a beautiful journey. I've been in acquisitions, dispositions, asset management. I started to build my own portfolio of assets. and also got into blockchain technology in 2016. So around that same time, 2016 is when I started to build my own portfolio. And I had this moment. It was like after going through that journey of traveling the world, going to
Right.
Dubai, Hong Kong, all over the country, learning about how blockchain technology and real estate were intersecting, I had this light bulb of a moment in 2020, or right before 2020, 2019, where we started to rent our units to recently homeless families.
Wow.
And when we started to see the faces of these tenants light up
That's
when they're
right.
going from a shelter to a quality apartment, and the gratefulness just pouring out of their pores, and it changed me chemically. Something chemically changed in me, and I realized that I wanted to do this forever. And I never before that moment, before those moments, felt more purposeful on this
Right.
earth. So my understanding of blockchain technology mixed with the fact that I got pretty lucky with one of my best friends, Akil Ash, who's a cryptographer, and me having the real estate background, him having the cryptography background and tech background, we had this idea to democratize real estate so
Ooh.
I can exponentially grow my portfolio and my purpose, which is
Right.
to provide housing for people who need it. And
Right.
I wanted to do this 1,000 times over. I want to do it the biggest way possible. And the biggest way possible is by getting other people involved,
That's
getting
right.
partners.
That's right.
And through blockchain technology and crowdfunding, which crowdfunding came from Obama's Jobs era, Jobs Act, which is an act that allows normal people, everyday people, to be able to invest in real estate projects, real estate investment trusts.
Put
Doesn't
a
have
pin in that one, people. That's a nugget we're gonna talk about today. But keep going.
Yeah, and I'll land the plane here with this first thought. But when we had this concept, it was like, let's create a token that's backed by our assets, let people invest in the equity. We use that equity cash to buy more assets. Now we've created this whole ecosystem where people in the community around the country can invest in properties, gain income
Oh,
from come from the properties through the dividends on the blockchain, and then get the increase in value over time. And now, what we've done is we've white labeled that entire process, and then allowing other community developers to take part and exponentially grow their portfolios using our proven system. So I know we have a lot to talk about and a lot to cover, so I won't be long-winded, but I had to land the plane with that.
hey, look, you got to give the people what they want. That's what I say, right? Because what we're talking about, man, and I want people to really understand this, right? We're literally talking about putting prosperity back into people's hands. Like, that is what this technology allows for, right? This is the thing that you had when the market changed, like especially in our community, first generation or whatever you may, you follow us on. Like, we never shift with the market. That's how we left out. We get left out so many times. We're always playing from behind, right? And this new world that we're going to, I like to tell people all the time, look, I got to get you from, food stamps to future currency. Somebody got to do it because it's happening in real time, right? And to be able to talk about, crowdfunding and what it is and the power of it. You brought up two things I want to touch on before we move on, right? That feeling. That
Yeah.
feeling you described, like, that is why I'm sitting here today, because I know that feeling you're talking about. I remember that feeling when it came from my mom, when we was those people that needed a stable home, right? I still get chills when I do it, right? I still do it. But that was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to continue what I was doing, because I knew how impactful it really was. And the other part of this is when I go to a lot of communities, and I'm sure you have, in your $200 to $300 million of transacting, right? When you walk through the door, most developers are not, they're not greeted as, Santa Claus by any stretch of the imagination, right? You're already fighting the public, it's a stigma, kind of, that you're coming into the community, you're taking everything out, right? So I've sat in many of those meetings, and and I hear people, and I'm trying to figure out a way, how do we get them to participate, right? And this is where my light bulb moment went off, right? I'm like, I'm over just giving out ice cream in the community, right, as something. Like, that's not anything that's moving them forward financially, right? We got to do something better. And long and behold, who stepped into my life? Mr. Vernon J. Right? So that is how, I viewed crowdfunding, solely because, and this is what I try to tell people, you got to be around people that think about your problem more than you do. And I think we both obsess about that, right? We talk about stuff that it's like we could have just hung it up a while ago, but we don't. We here fighting every day like, no, man, we can't leave them behind. Like, we got to go. We got to go. And I know we share that. So tell us a little bit more about, this platform. And you forgot that one beautiful part. It was the first affordable housing tokenization, right? I love that. That was like the thing that really caught me. I was like, man, somebody, A, is taking seriously affordable housing, the need of it, and B, we giving the right people the opportunity, man. So how do you land there is what I want to know.
Well, let's talk about, the sharing equity economy. Right. So sharing equity economy is one of our most valuable trademarks. Right. Mm-hmm. And when you think about the sharing equity economy, this is the nucleus, the core of where we're headed as a society. If we look at Airbnb, Turo, Uber, right? These are companies that have democratized your car, democratize the extra bedroom that you have in your home, democratize, your vehicle to be able to rent out and compete with Hertz, right? So these are companies that actually went up against mafia-driven organizations. Let's keep it funky.
I mean,
these are,
when you talk about business, this movie's on it. It's documentaries on this stuff.
It's ruthless. I mean, the hotel business, cutthroat.
Right.
These are no joke businesses, and the reason why they succeeded is because you're giving people power. Woo. Once you're giving people power, and it's coming from these oligarchs, so the power is being transferred from the oligarchs, the monopolies.
That's right.
And it's being transferred and shifted to the people.
Oh,
right?
Is that an easy transfer of power? I don't know. Do people like to see that?
There's never in this history of Earth has it been an easy transfer of power when it comes to people who yield the power, right?
Right.
Who wield the, so what we're seeing is, like, again, the sharing equity economy, and it's similar to these guys are disrupting taxi commissions, hotel lobbyists. I think the next iteration with crowdfunding and blockchain combined, even with agentic AI, which we can touch that on a little bit later, but
we got to come out to part two for that. I mean, that's a part two.
We might have to do a part two. Yeah, so with those combined, what you're doing is you're able to compete with banks, right? So this is that's what we're able to do, and you're able to replace the bank with community.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me you can be the bank
with community? And here's the kicker, Chris. The kicker is that in communities of color, historically, it's written in the deeds. It's written in some of these deeds that are saying no blacks allowed.
That's right.
No Jews allowed. These are deeds that are still in the county records today, wow, even though they can't be applied because of new federal laws that came in the 60s. But we're talking a few decades ago.
Bro.
Even today, in today's age, right this very moment, we're seeing redlining. I've been a victim of redlining. I've had banks that tout on their website that they refinance and they do all these great things, and when I send in my application for financing, they pre-approve it, everything looks good, and then they dig into the address and they say, whoa, this is in a neighborhood we don't, what they say is,
my folks don't live over here, is what they say.
Pretty much what they say specifically is, we're being picky about where we're gonna be investing and putting our money, right? That's their thing. And then, but the thing is like this, like, that's illegal.
Right.
That's illegal. But as a community developer, what are we supposed to sue everybody that we come across? Like, we don't have the time or capacity. We gotta build our properties and build our projects.
See, you're touching on something that and I try to tell people all the time, because I want people to understand, like, because let's be honest about it, like, we fight more battles than people ever realize. When you step into this world, number one, if you're trying to be in real estate and a real estate developer, and you take it a step further, community, like people, you're talking about, to your point, you got some, system changing that is happening that people are not for. And everything is designed to keep you at a level, right? No, don't go past go. Struggles for me, like I've been doing this for 20-some years, right? To your point, I'm like, wait a minute, when I was at this place, I'm the same guy y'all thought I was awesome because I was working for CBRE, right? I'm the same guy. I'm the one that did those deals. I go and start my own company. You won't even give me a checking account, right? Can I get a lollipop on the way out? You know what I mean? Like, that is what we're talking about. Like, it's just, we don't get the opportunity that most people get. So what we have to do is deliver, and I mean 10x deliver on everything we do.
And to that point, we can't sit around and sulk and, be upset and just sue everybody that we haven't. We got to find a solution.
Right.
We got to find. So the solution that I came up with and the team came up with and that we're working on together is, again, replacing the bank with community. We have the infrastructure to do it. We have the efficiency through blockchain technology. And literally, this is a way to say, okay, banks, you guys don't want to put funding in Black and brown communities. We understand. We understand that the same property that I have in a black community, a brown community that has the same income in an affluent community is worth exponentially less on your books because of the zip code. Not because of the income, because of the zip code. Now that is inherent redlining, right?
Absolutely.
Because when you go to refinance, they say, okay, we'll give you 70% loan to value, 65% loan to value. But if that value in a Black and brown community is so much less than in the affluent counterparts, then what you've got is a disparity. And then when capital cannot flow into those communities, that's when you start to see the despair.
Absolutely, man. You look, I hope we don't get censored, but this is like extremely powerful. Like when you start talking about replacing the bank, I don't want that to go over people's head, right? Like that is a big deal, guys. That's a big deal to figure out. And the community part, why is that important? Because we have to learn how to come together one way or another, right? And as we talk more about the solution, right? And tokenization, and I'll let you roll out the tokenization, because you do a great job about it. But one of the bigger solutions that for me, and what I wanted to impact people is get them involved more in real estate. And what I hear, they don't have the investment, they don't have the barriers to do it. So I had to find a solution, as you said. Well, how can you do that? Because I think, look, how do I say it in the best way possible? The financial literacy we have now is it's going to be eradicated in a couple of years, right? So that's why it's so free flowing. Everybody's talking about financial literacy, but to me, it's old news. Like what they're learning now is old news. If you haven't figured out how to open up a bank account and budget, then you in trouble, right? You in trouble. There's nothing else I can say about it. So when I say fractional ownership, I see fractional ownership as not financial literacy, but financial execution. Like we got to get past of just reading and understanding. Like we got to execute financially on things. Like you have to pursue ownership. And this is a great vehicle to do that. Why? For a lot of different reasons, but being just aligned or being in the same room with people, right? That is our biggest barrier to most things, right? Access to knowledge, access to relationships. Well, you have to be in the room with people that have things, right? For them to be of service to you, right? But I'll let you take it from there and just talk a little bit about just tokenization and the ability to crowdfund and what that means for a community.
So let's talk about the reason why somebody would throw a candy wrapper on the floor in Black and brown communities, right? Mm-hmm. A resident, right? Mm-hmm. The reason why they do that and they wouldn't think twice about it is not because we're bad people. That's not it. It's just because they don't feel like they have ownership.
Right.
If you're a renter and you're a lifelong renter and that you think your kids are going to be renters, you don't see a way out of that cycle, then you're going to just, you're not really going to take care of your community because you don't own it.
That's right.
So with fractionalization, what it does is it helps democratize the ownership of large assets in the community. So when people are going through their daily life and they see somebody throw something on the ground, they might be like, "Hey man, can you pick that up? You know, I own a piece of this. I own a piece of this
Right.
community."
Right.
Right? So it's a mentality shift more than anything. It's saying that, okay, I can own, even if it's a $500, $1,000, it doesn't matter what the dollar amount is. You feel like you have ownership
That's
in
right.
this, right? So, and we take it to another level. One issue that we have in our community is trust, right?
Woo!
Is being able to trust one another, being able to,
Right.
trust businesses in the communities. And this is where blockchain technology comes in. When it comes to ownership of corporations or businesses or real estate, for example, we're still living in the early 1900s. And
Absolutely.
I'll tell you why.
Right.
If you start a company and you have let's say you have 50,000 shares in that company, the way that you send out your shares in this moment is by papers,
Woo!
piece of paper.
Cut a
That's
tree down.
this like the Disney stock that you had back in the day, right? This
Right.
is so
You got to
old
go
school.
dust off that, that fireproof cabinet somewhere to see if your shares are still in there.
Nobody has a filing cabinet anymore. Right? It's all digital. So what we're doing and what we've done is we've digitized those shares on the blockchain so that it has extreme transparency. Everybody can see, what this token is, how many shares you have, what's the value of that token? Can I sell that token? Can I buy more tokens? It's all so what we're doing is as very simply, we're just bringing the ownership of shares and ownership of assets into the 21st century. That's the simplest way to explain what we're doing. And I'll land the plane with 2 points. First point is that in the early 90s, before 1991, it was actually illegal for businesses to own a website. Businesses or individuals.
That's
Most
right.
people don't know that. It was
Not
illegal
that long ago.
not that long ago. People had to, the government had to figure out how to regulate the internet before allowing people to get on there, right? Similar to that, if you had an internet company back in the early 90s, you were hot stuff, right? It was like you
I
were hot.
remember them days.
You remember those. But if you came out today and you go to Silicon Valley, you go to New York, you go to Miami, and you say, "Hey guys, I'm starting an internet company," people would laugh you out the door
That's
because
right.
every company is an internet company. So if we take that same application and we apply it to blockchain technology.
Right.
Today, if you have a blockchain company or an AI company, you're hot stuff. You're getting funding, all this, but in the next 20 years, it will be so ubiquitous. Every company will be using blockchain technology and AI solutions in order to just survive. Like that's
Right.
just going to be an everyday thing, right? And I'll land the plane with this thought. If you think about, let's say it's back in the 90s when you had a magazine, right? And people said, you know what? Let's put this magazine online. And now people can see it all over the world,
Right.
right? There
Right.
were people that said, you're crazy. I've been doing this magazine for 6 decades. And you mean to tell me that it should be on this thing called the internet?
What is
You
that?
know, what is that?
Yeah.
But we know today it's a blog, and
Right.
that has become so ubiquitous. You don't even do a print magazine. Is print is almost a dinosaur.
Yeah.
So this just goes to my point of where we're headed. We're headed in a digital age,
Right.
and blockchain technology provides the efficiency, the transparency, and everything that we need to create trust within the system.
Trust is a big word, right? And it carries a lot of responsibilities because, to your point, if you're only around people that has not acquired a lot of wealth or not, all they have seen is financial failures for the most part, trust is a hard thing, right? The one time you invest in something, it goes wrong. But the thing about what we're doing is, it's backed by asset. This is not a favor. This is real hardcore asset, right? And the thing that I want to touch on is just like to your point, like we're moving forward, right? We're moving forward, and it's currently happening. It's already here. It's happening. And we got so many people, to your point, black and brown, we don't embrace technology. And look, even for myself, man, I'm the, dial-up dude. You remember them days? Like for me to talk about some blockchain, like that was a shift for myself. But to your point, once you look under the hood and you look through the window at other places that are more advanced, they're already doing it. I think your moment was when you went to Dubai. I think in a conversation we had, that when you saw, you had a glimpse of the future. Now, what we're talking about here is that we don't have the critical mass adoption yet. But hold on. That's when you want to be involved in the beginning, right? Before it's mass adoption of it. Because once that happened, then the next iteration happened. So before you go, because we're going to have a couple of these conversations. We can just talk all day about this stuff. But I got to get the people the good news, right? I've been teasing people for a few weeks now, right? But I want us to really, and close the show out. We're going to talk about the organization that came about, and that is Pursuit to Own Partners, guys. And this is the impact organization that I've been waiting for my whole life to deliver for you. All right. And Vernon J is the man that made this happen. He's the one that introduced me to what this could be, right? He saw the hard work that I was putting in, and he was like, my brother, there's a different thing happening out here these days. We probably can help you out. But it was just one of those moments that I knew we had to shift. Right?
Yeah.
And Pursuit to Own Partner, and we can talk more about it, is like, it's taking that company that Vernon talked about, and then you having shares in that company. And we're not talking about you need the $10,000 no more. We're not talking about you got to go borrow money from grandma. Like, we don't have to do any of that stuff anymore. Like, this is literally, you can get in at, $100 to buy a piece of your community. Like, what is a piece of your community worth to you? Like, what is a piece of your community going to be worth to you 10 years from now? You have kids, you want to ride through it, like, this is where I used to live, right? That is what we're talking about, right? And more importantly for me is it's a gateway to financial execution. Like, we can't wait till we get, be able to buy your first investment property all the time. You got to learn that mind shift. You got to learn the way owners think now. And this is a great way to do it. So, Vernon, I'll let you take it away because you produce the Pursuit to Own token. We go, it's PTOX, and we're super excited over here at Pursuit to Own to work with you on this. So if you want to close us out, just talking about some of the things we can be able to do with the Pursuit to Own token, just a lot, and how we're going to impact people in general.
Listen, man, I talk about the PTOX token and the Pursuit to Own so much. I'm your biggest mouthpiece when I'm in these meetings with venture capitalists, everybody, right?
I love it.
And essentially what we do at Equity Platforms, we have a platform called Equity Share, and it does exactly what it sounds like. We help people like yourself and community developers like yourself, who we see as superheroes. We see you as the superheroes throughout America because you're rebuilding infrastructure, right? So what our goal at Equity Share is to create empowerment ecosystems, right?
Write that down, people. Empowerment ecosystems.
Empowerment ecosystems, because essentially, in the communities that you're going to be building in, and that you're working in, they are, they have their own way of working, their own judicial system, their own elected officials, like their own type of assets. So each one is different. Each one requires specialty. And this is where we come in and we help to make sure that you have the infrastructure so that you can focus on what's important, which is that community development.
That's right. And that is a fantastic part to where you want. See, guys, and that's what you got to understand why getting in partnerships matter, right? If you get a real partnership that is aligned with you. Look, I've been in some bad partnerships, right? But when you find someone that aligns, what it provides for you is, a term I came across is like a bullet train. So I don't have to sit here and think about how to build all this. That would be too much for me to even think about going. I got to find the Vernon, right? Vernon already built this thing. Vernon has already should have success on this thing. Vernon aligns with what I align with as Pursuit to Own as a company. His company is equity. Like that's what pursuit of ownership is, right? We want equity at the end of the day. So you got to start thinking further out, because quite honestly, that's what the big guys do. They don't sit here anymore and think about how do I build every little single piece by myself. You got to get back to that trust word. And it's hard. I get it. I totally get it. It's hard to trust people with some of your ideas. It's hard to trust people with some of your vision, right? But you're never going to hit a critical mass and get something that's scalable if you don't form partnerships. Especially, I'm speaking from my perspective, first generational, right? I'm learning still to this day. Like, I'm still failing forward. I'm still pursuing forward every day. But that's the key. I keep going forward. And now I'm into a whole nother space that's going to provide even more benefit to people like you. So we got to wrap up, Vernon. We got to look. This can go on and on.
I want to land it with one really poignant point.
It's on you. Close us out.
Which is, let's take our minds back to the early 90s, right? Mm-hmm. We're going back to the early 90s, and we're trying to build a website in the early 90s. Now, back then, it was very costly, very time consuming. You needed an HTML guy. You needed a database guy, MySQL. You needed a graphic designer. You needed so many people to come together at one table, and it cost you a tremendous amount. It cost you so much time. But today, now we fast forward to 2025. Today, if we wanted to create a website, we can go to Squarespace, GoDaddy, WordPress, so many different options that we have. We can probably create a comprehensive website before we get off this call for a penny, for a few dollars. For a few dollars. So I wanna relate that to tokenization, right? So when we created Equity Coin, which is the first token backed by affordable housing, we needed a cryptographer. We needed a kick-ass legal team. We needed people who understood marketing. We needed a PR team. We needed all of these different elements to come together, and it cost us over $100,000. It was very costly.
Right.
So what we've been able to do is template that and truncate that process from a few months of time to a few minutes of time. And instead of $180,000 to create the token, now you can create it for a few $1,000s.
I mean, wow.
So you see where we're headed with this, which is becoming ubiquitous, where if you own a company, no matter what the kind of company it is, real estate, laundromat, it doesn't matter. You want to be able to tokenize that company so that it makes it easy for people to come on board with you and be able to share in that value as you grow. So that's where I would want to kind of land for your audience to really get a grasp of where tokenization is headed and why it's important.
And that's a great way to land it, because what I'm telling people, and I want y'all to get a good look at that tobacco field. Like, trust me, I was behind in life my entire life until now. This is the first time that I'm actually going to be on the forefront of something, and I'm bringing you with me. Right? So it is a powerful opportunity we all have. And when you start to understand that technology is here, and I want y'all to take note, you can look them up. This guy's official. It's moving faster than you can ever imagine. Like, something that felt so tough a year ago is done in minutes, seconds. When you start understanding that's the speed we're moving at. You got to get in pursuit. You have to get in pursuit. So this has been a phenomenal show. We might need 2, 3, 4, 5 more shots at this thing to really get the value that we want to deliver to the people. But in the meantime, to the next time, stay in pursuit. Let's go.
Thank you for listening to the Pursuit to Own podcast. If today's episode inspired you, don't stop here. Take the next step toward owning your future. Visit pursuittoown.com to sign up and join our growing community of wealth builders. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Pursuit to Own for updates, tips, and success stories. Together, we're turning dreams into assets. Until next time, stay in pursuit.